What's going on? My name is Ja or Ja the God, whichever one you prefer to call me, and I'm back with another video. And the topic for today's video is take full responsibility. And the verse for said video is Galatians chapter 6, verse 5. For each one should carry his own load. And we're gonna dive straight into it. Excuse me. When you take full responsibility for your own actions, for everything you do in life, for how you react or how you act or how you move in life or anything at that, like when you take full accountability, when you take charge of what the things that you do and how you treat others, or how you you know what I'm saying, how you present yourself or anything. When you take full accountability, when you take full responsibility for that, it reflects in your life. You know what I'm saying? It all shows, because you know how you act, you know what you do, you know the things that you get done, you know how you know what I'm saying, how you set up, and how you, like, you know, how you operate. And taking full responsibility for that is the most amazing thing ever, because you know, you taking that in, you like, all right, I know how I act, and I'm only in control of me. I'm only in control of how I act. I'm only in control of how I do things, and how I treat others, or how I give a response to somebody, and how I make them feel. When you take full responsibility, nobody else can take that from you, because you're like, you're given that notion that, hey, I'm gonna be accountable for my actions, and I'm not gonna let nobody or no excuse get in the way of that, or you know what I'm saying, no fault, nothing, like, yeah, no excuse. I'm not gonna make no excuse for just, you know what I'm saying, like, for my actions. Taking full responsibility is better. It's like, it's a God-given thing. When you realize that, like, you take full responsibility, it's a beautiful thing, because, like, nobody can say, oh, I did that, or I took your, like, nah, you know your actions, either good or bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't matter. Is you using them actions, and, like, it's either, like I said, yeah, either good or bad, and you taking full responsibility, like, hey, I did this today, or I did something wrong, you know what I'm saying, or you calling yourself out, or you making, you know what I'm saying, like, you standing in that truth. You're not letting yourself be, like, overtaken by ego or pride, because you just like, all right, I know how I acted, I know how I did this, or I know how I treated that person, or I know how I, you know what I'm saying, went about this situation. Like, say like, you messed up, and you're at work or something, and you like, they like, oh, who did, they ask, and they ask, like, who did this? You messed up a machine or something. You just be like, yeah, me. That honesty is always going to be rewarded, because once you be honest about it and you tell the truth, be like, oh, I did this XYZ, or I messed up, yeah, like, I that was me, my fault. People appreciate honesty. That honesty is going to go a long way, rather than you lying, rather than you not telling the truth. And then on the other side, being kind, being truthful. Now, mind you, some people might not, like, call it out, or not, like, give you your flowers right away, or not say, oh, this, that, and the third, but it's always going to show in your actions when you're taking full accountability and full responsibility of how you you know what I'm saying, respond to others. It's always going to come out. It's always going to show when you take full responsibility of how you treat others, and how you do things, and how you know what I'm saying, how you go about your standards, how you treat, how you know what I'm saying, your baseline, your standards, everything. Like I said, yeah, your standards. never feel like, I'm sorry, that car was loud as heck. But taking full responsibility is a beautiful thing, because now you're aware. You're aware of your actions. You're aware of how you go about situations. You can't never say like, oh, I did this wrong or I did that wrong, because you know how you act. You know how God knows how you act. God knows everything about you. God knows how you feel at certain times, or how you do certain things, or how situations like make you feel. And so once you take responsibility for your actions, you can now look at situations differently. You can now see how to react in a more Christ-like manner, or a more righteous manner. That's what it is. Thank you, Father. And it'll always show. It'll always show, because say like you bumped into someone on the street and they like, oh, hey, watch where you going. You just say, oh, my bad, I wasn't looking. Situation de-escalated. Nobody mad. Nobody fighting. That person probably was having a bad day. That person was probably upset. Now that you said, oh, my fault, I wasn't looking, and you being honest, they probably just like, oh, that kindness done killed them. That kindness done knocked it off, because why? You took accountability for your actions. You seen where your fault was, and you looked at your actions and wasn't paying attention. And now that you see that, like, hey, my actions, the way I act, can help other people, then why not take responsibility for how I act, and then it'll reflect my kindness to show someone else kindness, and then they'll probably look inside and start doing the same thing. They'll probably be better for themselves. They'll probably be like, hey, why don't I start doing that? Why don't I start, you know what I'm saying, taking accountability? Why don't I start going like slowing down and going in depth and making myself feel better? So I know that like I can control how I react to things, or how I act in certain situations, or how I act towards people. Taking full responsibility is like, it's better off that you do so rather than not do so. Cause I ain't gonna lie, it was certain times that I was like, you know what I'm saying, I had my bad times in life, but you know, as a kid you would lie sometimes, but as much as I got older, you know what I'm saying, I really didn't lie as much when I was like coming up, but like when you start taking accountability for things and you be like, oh yeah, that's my fault, or oh yeah, I'm all right, I messed up, that's cool, you know what I'm saying, most people appreciate that honesty, because not only are you being truthful, but you taking accountability for the situation. You're not pointing fingers. That's another thing. Like taking responsibility helps you not point fingers at nobody, because you only looking at yourself. You only looking at the person in the mirror. You only looking at that spirit that's looking back at you, that's inside of you. You're only looking back at your actions, and like how it's making God feel, and how it's making how it's like it's affecting your everyday life. Once you take full accountability, you can't say, oh, this is happening because of that person, or oh, I'm feeling this way because of that person, or this is all your fault. Nah, I put myself into said situation, I could get myself out. God, I put the same strength I got myself into this situation with, I can use the same strength to get myself out of it. And that's how it go. That's how the cookie crumbles. That's how it goes. Because you realize that like you doing certain things that get you into situations, And so you can't point fingers when it's your fault or it's your actions that got you into said situation. Now get yourself out of it. And 9 times out of 10, God's still gonna come through. He's still gonna give you that exit. He's still gonna give you that way out. So, and once you get out, you can still look back at your actions and be like, oh, well, you learn from it. You got what you needed out of it, and now you learn from the situation, and now you're better. Now you can move on with your life and realize that, hey, I learned something now that you can apply it to everyday life. Now you can look at it from a different angle, from a different shine. You get what I'm saying? Always, like, taking full responsibility is literally the best thing you can do in life. These bugs are annoying. It's literally the best thing you can do in life, because not only are you taking full responsibility for your actions, but people gonna see it and they gonna want to mimic that, and they'll be like, hey, I can apply that to my life. And now you got 10, 20 different people looking at how they acting, rather than like being toxic or being negative or being a negative Nancy, or you know what I'm saying, whatever. So always take full responsibility. Never feel like it's a like you stand in trial or you about to go to jail. You putting yourself on that trial. You know what I'm saying? You're not getting so nobody else can do it. Once you take full responsibility, you putting yourself in that trial, and you looking at your actions down the list, and you like, all right, how did I go about this? How did I do that? How did I do that? How did I do that? And once you review them all and they come back green, you straight. You good to go. Nobody can say, oh, you treated me like this, so I did that. Nah. You treat everybody with peace. You treat everybody with kindness. You treat everybody with love. And that's how it goes. And then it'll come back to you. And once you take full responsibility for how you act and how you view things, and how being open-minded or anything, it'll always come back to you. And it'll always be like a great thing, rather than somebody saying that, rather than you pointing the finger and being like, nah, I didn't do this, or nah, I didn't do that. It was plenty times where I didn't want to take accountability for a situation, but I had to. Like now that I'm where I'm at now, you know what I'm saying? You have to. It's no age limit to it. Once you start taking accountability for your actions and how you do things in life, it'll always come back. It won't come back void. It'll always come back, whether good or negative. So that's all it's going to be for me today. I thank you guys for listening. I know I kind of went off track in every which way, but take full responsibility for your actions or how you act, and for anything in life. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it'll come back to you positively, in a great way, magnified. When you take full responsibility, you know how you know what I'm saying? When you do the right thing, and then you say you got a test from a teacher or some homework, and she say, you do this, you get extra credit. You the only one that did it. Everybody else slacked off. You take full responsibility. You the only one who walked up to that desk with the test. Now guess what? You got 100 on top of 100. And you got an A in that class. Boom. I know I said I was going to end it, but I just had to add that on top of that. I thank you guys for listening. You guys have an amazing day.